All right, welcome. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tribe Day. This is Dr. CJ Benker with Pura Vida, Pure Life Living. I'm here showing up, which is 80% of the success, to help you live your most amazing life in mind, body, heart, and spirit. We just started July. July is pure food. No, I'm sorry, June. Look at me, looking to the future. June is Pure Food Month. So this is what we're up to. We come together as a tribe of like-minded humans that want to be human beings instead of just do. We attract people that want to live their best life, that are willing to make changes, that are willing to create new habits. And basically, it's just all about, we're here for a limited time. Let's just be the most amazing human that we can be while we're here. So we come together every week, Tuesdays, Pacific Standard Time at 9, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. We share our struggles, our wins. We go over and cover one core concept from my 12 core concepts each month. So we have 12 core concepts, habits, strategies, tools, and you can't just use all 12 of them at the same time. And that's why we have this group. That's why we have this, Pura Vida Academy, or I also like to call it the Metabolic Mastery Group or Metabolic Mastery Membership. We're here to master our metabolism. We're here to master our overall health. And your metabolism really dictates your overall health. How healthy you are metabolically is what determines how much energy you have, how much joy you have, how lean you are, how long you live, whether or not you end up with a disease or a set of symptoms like cancer, stroke, diabetes, heart disease. Your metabolic health controls, so it's the tree. It's the tree of life. So the trunk and the roots are the root cause of why so many people are sick. So all of those roots, toxins, processed food, stress, heavy metals, vegetable seed oils, not taking time for yourself. Those are all the roots. We call that the root cause. Cellular toxins, cellular health. And then we have the trunk, and then it comes up into the actual tree. So what we see and what shows up in our life, in our loved ones' lives, our friends and our family, our moms and our kids, is we just see the tree. We only see the branches, the leaves, and what do we see on that tree? We see fatigue. We see digestive issues, irritable bowel syndrome. We see lupus. We see, I've already said chronic fatigue, cancer, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. So the branches in the trees are just the result of all of those things down under the ground, those root causes that we can't see. So the 12 core concepts are designed to address all of those roots. So, right, we have pure food. That's one of the root causes. How you're eating. What are you putting into your body? That's definitely an amazing tool and strategy to have a healthy, vibrant, energetic tree with beautiful branches and leaves and energy and joy and travel and grandkids. That's the tree that we want to build. So pure food, detoxification is one of the 12 core concepts. So that's a root cause. So see that tree in your mind and look at all those roots underneath the ground that you can't see, but one of the roots is toxins. So that's why one of my 12 core concepts is detoxification. If you fix your food, eat perfectly, move your body, drink healthy water, and fast, but still have a bunch of toxins in your body, deep in your brain, like heavy metals, glyphosates, etc. All of those other things are not going to give you the full health. I'm going to ask you to mute, please. All of those caregiving queen, can you please mute? It's not letting me ask you. Mute. Okay, there we go. So more of the roots and then the tree that we can see. So there's pure water, there's body, pure body, there's grounding. One of the roots is prevention. So we need to run labs. You have to test metals. Heavy metals are so common. So June is all about pure food. So we're going to just spend a little bit of time talking about what is pure food. And then I'll open it up and everybody can participate, ask questions, share your truth, share, what pure food is for you. A big part of when I work with people, and we typically start with the 3-month cellular healing program. The goal of the program and anything that I do to work with you, to help you and support you and guide you along this journey, is for Lou to learn her body, for Dolores to learn her body. I want you guys to have this amazing, intimate, nurturing relationship with your own body. See, nobody tells us how to listen to our body. Maybe beef is great for me and I feel good and strong. Maybe you don't do well with beef. Maybe your body just loves seafood. So a lot of what I teach and the journey and the step-by-step process that we go through, my main objective, I don't want you to be dependent on me. I'm not the guru. I'm not the one sitting up at the top of the hill, with all the answers. We all have access to the truth of what will create health and energy and vitality in our own body. So a big part of the first 3 months is we take most offending, inflammatory, triggering foods out of your diet. It's an anti-inflammatory program. It's an elimination diet of sorts where we take out things that are going to create changes in your body, like low energy and bloating and congestion, stuff with your joint pain, brain fog. How about when you eat and you feel tired right after you eat? Now that is a warning sign. So I want you to start really thinking about pure food this month as we meet each week. And really, let's start off this month with the intention of listening to your body after everything you eat. So putting different foods into your body and paying attention to how did your body respond to that food? Because again, a big part of what I would like you to accomplish as we continue on this journey together as a tribe is I want Angela to learn Angela's body. I want Celeste to learn Celeste's body because we all have different backgrounds. We're all at different parts of our health journey. I do think beef is an amazing, healthy food, but you might not be on that part of your journey yet to where you can digest beef. Now, do I think that you should be able to over time as we work on healing your body? Yes. But again, everybody's in a different place on their journey. And bottom line, there's certain foods that work really good with some people and work terrible with other people. So you can't just cookie cutter health. Now, saying that, are there still some main truths and main ideas of science and human history of what our bodies really need? So if you look at a cow, you can't look at a cow and go, well, that cow does really good on corn. Oh, but that cow does better on grass. we still have cows don't do well on corn, by the way, but most commercial cattle is being fed GMO corn, soy, because they're being fed these unnatural foods to get them really fat and really heavy as quickly as possible so that they can be killed and that there's more yield, more money to be had, more profit per cow. So is it more expensive to raise a cow in a natural way with eating grass, rotating them through to different to different fields, going back to regenerative medicine? Yeah, but we still can switch back to that model that works for us. So basically, human beings, based on the science of looking at what our digestive systems look like, what our teeth look like, if we go back into the fossil records and look at anthropology and look to see, and by the way, our DNA has not, it takes millions of years for our DNA to change. So you could just go back a million years and how human beings were thriving and what they were eating. And you can basically say that's pretty much what our bodies respond to as well. We do get changes in DNA, but it takes a really long time. It doesn't take just a few generations. It takes hundreds of thousands of years, if not a million years, for our DNA to change. So if we look at the fossil records, if we look at ancient civilizations, and even now to this day, in the 21st century, we still have civilizations, groups of people that are living the same way they lived, like around in Brazil, the Amazonian River. We have people in groups of people in different parts of the world that are still, for the most part, living in a tribal nature, a tribal setting. They're not being given processed food and flour and sugar, but they're living off the land. They're finding food and animals in their area and they're eating those. So if you look at the fossil records and if you look at the history of humanity, for the most part, human beings, and we still are, we're hunters and gatherers. So most of you know I'm not a huge fan of, vegetarian or veganism. I don't think that, now, do I think that might be a great thing to do for a little while? Yes. I think anytime you change up and do diet variation, which is one of our 12 core concepts. But for the most part, there are essential fats, essential nutrients, essential building blocks for your body that can only be found in animal protein. There is no B12 in vegetables. We have to have B12. If you take a look at organ meat, there's not one man-made multiple vitamin that comes even close to the power and the mineral composition and all the different vitamins and nutrients in organ meat. We haven't even been able to replicate that. Organ meat has all the B vitamins and minerals and zinc and selenium. Again, minerals and nutrients, primarily B vitamins and minerals, which most humans are low in, especially Americans, are found in organ meat. Because our ancestors would find an animal, they'd hunt an animal, they would kill the animal, and guess who got the organ meats? The top people in the tribe. The organ meats were valued. Those were the parts of the animal that were treasured because they create life and health. So we're primarily hunters and gatherers, which means animal protein, primarily carnivore. Now the gathering would be some vegetables or some plants, but they were never grown in fields. We didn't have agriculture until about 1,000 years ago. Think about this. 1,000 years is how long we've been growing vegetables. If you look at all of human history, the time frame of all of human history, and you put it all of human history is on a football field, right? That's all of human history on a football field. The last 1,000 years is like the 1 yard mark. So if you look at the entire football field, that's all of a human being's history. And just like the last 1 yard mark is the last 1,000 years. So we have all of that other time of what we were eating. So just one little teeny itty bitty part of our history is the last 1,000 years where we started getting tired of being nomads and traveling around. We started getting tired of having to move all the time with the snow and the seasons. We'd have to follow, the different groups of animals. We'd have to follow them around so that we had food available. So getting back to the gathering would just be there were some naturally occurring root vegetables that we would find and eat during times of famine when we weren't able to hunt and find any animals to feed the tribe. So we found root vegetables, naturally occurring root vegetables, and we would dig those up and that we would use those to sustain our bodies when we went through times of famine. And then we would also find some naturally occurring berries, but they were only available like a couple of weeks, maybe a month out of the entire year. Not like today, where we eat pineapple from Chile or Hawaii. We eat bananas from Brazil. We live in a time of age where we're eating foods from all over the world that aren't in season and aren't available where we live. And human beings never ate like that. We never had access to all of the food across the entire planet until just recently. So you talk about the 1 yard mark for the time frame out of the whole football field where we've actually been growing vegetables. If we look at the ability to just have food from all over the world, that's like not even 1 yard. That's just like, 0.2 of a yard. That's like you're on the goal line. So it's just, I think, kind of helpful to look at it from that, overview picture, with like the 20,000, foot view of humanity. How long have we been on the planet? What did our ancestors eat? How did our bodies respond in the past? And our DNA, again, has not changed really hardly at all in at least the last hundreds of thousands, if not a million years. So when we look at fossil records from the past and we look at anthropology, we see a distinct, scientifically proven change in human skeletons from before we started growing vegetables and the agricultural time until we started growing vegetables. It's very two distinct findings. So before we started growing wheat and corn and vegetables, we did not see any arthritis. We have amazing anthropology findings of, full bodies, completely preserved, like in Egypt where they're like mummified. And we can definitely see what's happening, in that person's body. So there was no arthritis. There were no changes in the teeth, no misaligned teeth, no cavities. The hard palate was wider. The brains were bigger. I want you guys to listen to this. Before we started eating vegetables, the brains were bigger. No arthritis. There's no signs of disease. Now, I'm sure what killed us back then was probably infections and, maybe wild animals, accidents. But they weren't dying of Alzheimer's or cancer or diabetes. They didn't have arthritis. And as soon as we start looking at the records, the anthropology records from when we started growing our own food, boom, total change in what we find in the human body. Now we see arthritis. We see the hard palate getting smaller. So that's why so many people have to have their wisdom teeth taken out. Don't you think God knew what he or she was doing when they created the human body? Do you think that we were created that we would have to have teeth removed? Doesn't that seem odd to you? It's because our hard palates changed because we weren't getting the healthy fats from the meat. We were eating more vegetables, and it created these amazing civilizations like Rome, where we had these amazing, waterways and all of these civilization discoveries and technologies because we now could stay put in one place, and so we started developing all these different things, but our health started suffering because the human body wasn't necessarily designed to eat a bunch of vegetables. The vegetables were there when we couldn't find food, and it was just to support and be just a small little adjunct of the main diet, which is the hunting part of the diet. So hunters and gatherers. And then we've talked a lot in the past, and we could talk a little bit about this more as the month progresses. Today is just the introduction of pure food. So that's probably a good way to start, just realizing, our ancestors feasted and fasted. They feasted when they found food, and they fasted when there wasn't food. And there were many times of fasting. Food was not available 24/7. Our ancestors did not have 7-Elevens and McDonald's and Starbucks on every corner. Our ancestors did not eat as soon as they woke up. Our ancestors would wake up and they would go out and find food in a fasted state. They had one big meal later in the day if there was food to be had, or it would be leftovers from the last kill with dried meat and maybe some root vegetables and maybe some bone broth, because they used the entire animal, and they would live and feed and nurture their bodies off of that entire animal. So we have lost the ancient art of pure living because we don't feast and famine anymore. We were lied to and we were taught that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And before Kellogg's came to be, the cereal company, Americans intermittent fasted. Americans did not eat as soon as they woke up. The whole myth and the lie of breakfast is the most important meal of the day is a Kellogg's cereal marketing tagline. Did you know that? Breakfast is not the most important meal of the day. And we eat too often, and we eat way too many vegetables and carbs. And I'll end with this, and then I'll open up the floor. There are 3 groups of foods, 3 macronutrients. We have protein, we have fats, and we have carbohydrates. 2 of those macronutrients are essential for you to thrive and to be healthy and to live and to have energy and to be around for your grandkids. And one of them is not essential. You don't ever have to put it in your body from the time you're born until the time you die, and you can still have amazing, top-notch health. So which one of the 3 macronutrients is not essential?
Carbohydrate.
Yes, carbohydrates. And intuitively, we know this because you've heard of amino acids, right? Amino acids are just chains. So here's an amino acid, and the 3 together make up a protein, or you could also call it a peptide. We talked about peptides. Those are just proteins. So there are definitely, and I know you've heard of essential amino acids. Essential means your body doesn't make them, and you have to have them to build new cells. The building block of the human body is protein. The body uses protein and amino acids to make enzymes. Insulin is made from protein. Glucagon is made from protein. Most of our hormones are just strings of amino acids. We need hormones to live and thrive, right? So they're essential because we can't make them and we need to eat them. And I know 100% that you've heard of essential fatty acids. Remember, we have protein, fats, carbohydrates. Have you heard of the term essential fatty acids? Yeah, omega-3s, right? The craze of fish oil. Don't take fish oil, by the way. Omega-3s, omega-6s, omega-9s. The body uses fats that are essential. We can't make them. We have to eat them to make hormones. Do you think having hormones is important? Right? What are so many women as they're going through perimenopause, postmenopause? Oh, my hormones are out of balance. Well, your body makes hormones from fat. Your body also creates healthy cells with fat. So here's a cell. Your body's made up of 50 to 100 trillion cells. It's the basic building block of the human body. Everything that happens in your body happens in your cell. And if you remember cellular biology in high school, the cell has a lipid fat bilayer, two layers of fat. So if the cell membrane has this fortress of two layers of healthy fats, which basically control all of life and health and energy in your body, is the cell membrane. It's not the DNA inside the nucleus, it's your cell membrane. So if your cell membrane is crucial to hormones working properly, to feeling happy with dopamine and serotonin, for sugar to get into the cell, for different minerals and nutrients to get into the cell, all of the engines of your body, like the engine of a car, and it has the fumes and the output from the back, all of those waste products, all of those oxidative components that are in the cell cannot get out of the cell. So nutrients and good stuff can't get in, and toxins and waste products and garbage can't get out when you don't eat healthy fats and your cell membranes are not healthy. So that's why I call it my 3-month cellular healing program, because as we started this discussion, we have the tree of life, we have the trunk and all of the roots that you can't see. The roots are the causes of why you don't feel well. The roots are the causes of why your digestive system isn't working, why you ended up with that cancer diagnosis. And one of the roots is toxins. Where do toxins live? Well, most toxins are fat soluble, which means they're attracted to fat. So if toxins are fat soluble and they're attracted to fat, where do they live in your body? There's 3 places that toxins live in your body. Your brain is approximately 3/4 fat. Yeah. Our brain is 3/4 fat. So that's the most dangerous place for toxins to live. Because guess what's in your brain? The master controller of your endocrine system, the pituitary gland, and the hypothalamus. So if toxins are fat soluble, and they're going to find a place in your body where there's fat, because that's what they're attracted to. It's like a magnet, right? You've got A little dust of lead and a magnet. You bring the magnet by, the lead just sticks right to the magnet. It's the same thing with the brain, and the little dust of metal, the lead dust is toxins, and it just gets completely sucked up into the brain. And it seems to find its way into the pituitary area, the hypothalamus area. So number one is brain. Number two area where toxins live and hide is in your cell membrane. Two layers of fat, so they get stuck in the cell membrane and they block the doorway, the openings, the channels for good stuff to get in and for bad stuff to get out. They 100% affect the hormone receptors. So these insulin receptors, these dopamine receptors, these estrogen receptors cannot hear the signal of estrogen and do what that hormone's supposed to do in your body when you have toxins stuck in your cell membrane. So that's why everything I do is based on cellular healing, cellular detox. You can't get toxins out of the cell membrane with a foot bath or a foot detox or a colonic. Now, are those good things to do? Yes, but those are way downstream. And that's what we're being presented with for the most part. All the new little detoxes, the dose, the detox your liver, and, all of these detox tricks, the detox green drink. But are those detox tricks going all the way upstream, going deep down into the roots of that tree and actually addressing the root cause, which are the metals and the toxins and the cellular detoxification? No. So brain is where toxins are attracted to. The cellular membrane, which affects every function in your body. Every single function in your body happens in a cell. You digest food in your cell. You make energy in your cell. You feel happy because of oxytocin in your cell. You get tired at night because of melatonin in your cell. You wake up in the morning with energy because of cortisol in your cell. Okay, the third area where toxins are attracted to and we find them and why we see so much weight gain as we get older and we haven't addressed the upstream cause of toxicity at a cellular level, the fat cells. They're fat soluble, so the toxins, the body in its wisdom, and that's when we see the postmenopausal belly fat. The next time you look in the mirror and you see some belly fat, instead of looking at yourself and saying, "Oh, you're such a loser, you look at you, little fatty." I'm just saying what I say sometimes. Instead of being angry at yourself and like putting yourself down, instead go, "Wow, my body loves me so much. My body is so amazing and intelligent that body fat is there because it's protecting me, my bloodstream, my body from toxins." The body's just storing them in that fat to protect you. It's not a bad thing. It's beautiful. It's your body loving you. So instead of looking at it in disdain, like, "Oh, look at that," look at it as my body is protecting me. Thank your body. Thank you so much for storing that in the fat. Now, do we want to keep it there? Do we have tools and strategies to safely get those toxins out so the body's like, "Oh, okay, I feel safe to let these go because I know that they're going to be removed from the body." And that's, everything that I do, with chelation and cellular detox and getting into fat burning and ketosis and controlling insulin. You can't burn fat if you have insulin in your body. It's impossible. Insulin makes your body store fat. You cannot burn fat if you have insulin being released from your pancreas. It's impossible.
So how do you stop that? How do you stop the insulin being released through
by what you eat, by what you put into your body. So that's why this is Pure Food Month. And so carbohydrates, which we just started the whole conversation today on pure food, is not an essential nutrient, and carbohydrates are the only foods that release insulin. Fat doesn't release insulin at all, and protein, depending on how much, maybe just a tiny little bit. The only thing that spikes glucose and creates an insulin release from your pancreas, which creates fat storage, are carbohydrates. Fruit, sweet potatoes, rice. Those are foods that get broken down into sugars and create an insulin surge, and insulin will store fat for the next 2 or 3 hours. That's why everything I teach is about controlling insulin. And ideally, you would want to be in fat burning most of your life. Now, do I eat some carbs every now and again? And that's our wellness program. Once you've gotten younger metabolically and we've addressed the cellular toxins with some of my more advanced techniques, you can go through the 5-1-1, where you can, purposely eat some higher healthy nature's carbs like sweet potatoes, quinoa, maybe some fruit, 1 day a week, 1 day a week, just to throw different things at the body. But for most people, we just want to take a look at, carbs aren't necessary. You don't have to eat them. I know they're good. I know they're addictive. We've talked about that too.
I have
But
a
as you,
question.
yes,
So, but I don't know whether you want to address this now or maybe, because it can get into a larger topic, but what role does you think stress, right?
Mm,
Um,
thank you. Yeah.
Play on how food is absorbed. Just a little bit of background. I've read a book, a couple of books. Geber Mate. Anyway, when the body says no, and one of his philosophies is that we can do all that, but if we're under constant stress, putting our bodies through that, we can manifest some of these things that you're talking about. It can override, stress can override that and then produce harmful toxins to the body. So what's your take on that? I'll just put myself
Everything you
back up.
said is 100% true.
Mm.
Yeah, and we've talked about that, over and over and over again in this weekly Tribe Circle group. Yes, stress definitely is a factor. So you can be, and I didn't add it in because again, I don't want to get into all of that because we've covered it in detail in the past and we'll continue to cover it. But yes, you could be doing all the right things, but our bodies are chemical factories, and your thoughts control which chemicals are released. If you're happy and you're joyous, you're going to release different chemicals that are going to create different changes in your body and in your health overall. When you're under stress, yes, negative, unhealthy chemicals are released, and specifically cortisol. When cortisol is high, it creates a release of insulin. 100%. 100%. So stress definitely plays into it. And that's definitely something that we, go into as we're going deeper with somebody. But most people, to begin, they just need to learn how to eat properly, and they need to know that the foods that create that insulin surge. But yes, cortisol, stress, it can keep your body from burning fat, even if you're not eating carbs. This is true. Toxins can keep your body from eating fat, even if you're not eating carbs. So I'm glad you brought that up. It came into my mind as we were discussing, but I'm like, I just didn't really want to, go down that road. But 100%
I
stress
have
is
a
a part of
question.
this whole picture. Yes.
You mentioned a little earlier about um, not taking oil, and then you mentioned omega 3s and 6s. I might have got that mixed up, but is it not good to take omega 3 and 6s, or is it good to take omega 3 and 6s? Because it's fish oil.
Fish oil is not stable and it goes rancid very quickly as soon as it hits air. So I don't like people taking fish oil. It acts like a rancid, toxic vegetable oil in your body. So you do want omega-3s, 6s, and 9s, and all of the right balances with avocado oil and coconut oil. But I do not recommend taking a fish oil capsule because as soon as air hits the fish oil, even if there's no air in the capsule, as soon as it gets into your body, it's very unstable and it can create inflammation. So I want you to get your omega-3s with your pure food, the salmon and the sardines and the olive oil in a pure food form that's all in the way that nature, made it. And then we have an amazing product at the
Okay.
practice. It's a plant-based healthy fat product. It's the 3s, the 6s, and the 9s in the exact ratio of a healthy cell membrane. And it's just capsules that you take. It doesn't go rancid when it gets into your body. It's plant-based though, so it's got like primrose oil and flaxseed oil, and a bunch of different healthy plant oils, but in the exact ratio that your cell membrane needs for your cell membrane to be healthy, because everything comes down to your cell membrane. Does that help?
What's the name of the product?
Pure Form Omega. It's on your report, with Sean.
Thank you.
It showed up on your report. Your body told us what it needed when we did all of that testing. Who else?
Got
Let's
it.
open it up. We're going to end right at 10. And if you guys notice, I started right at 9. And we're going to be doing that from now on. So I'll record it. It's 9 o'clock. I'll start recording. If
Question.
Yes, Celeste.
Yeah, I had a question. You, at the beginning, of course, we've all been kind of paying attention to food and our reaction to it. Allergy testing, I've never been tested for allergies to foods. And I have I can go to my ENT, I got to get my hearing checked and they'll do allergy testing. What's a good form of allergy testing?
I mean, I don't do any of that anymore. I used to run $500 hormone panels, allergy testing.
Oh, you don't?
I don't, because is it valuable? If your body's responding to, now I've had some of that testing done over the years, but bottom line is if your body's in a state of inflammation and you have metals that you've never taken out of your body, you're going to react to different foods. Your body's going to react poorly to different foods. Because if you have heavy metals, pesticides, chemicals, and toxins stored deep in your body, and you haven't gone through proper cellular detox using chelators, which is another program that I have, your body's in a constant hyper immune state. Your body's just like on hyper alert, like, oh, what's going on? Because all of the chemicals that are in your body and the toxins create your immune system's trying to attack those because they're not supposed to be there. So your army of immune cells are engaged and they're going after
Okay.
those toxins. So now you eat broccoli, which if all those toxins were gone and your immune system was at normal functioning levels with decreased inflammation, you're not going to react to the broccoli. But maybe now you're going to react to a whole bunch of foods. I can't tell you how many people I've had go through the 3-month cellular healing, teaching people how to eat in the beginning, where they come in, they're like, I'm allergic to strawberries, I'm allergic to coconut, walnuts, and I'm telling you, pretty much 100% of the time I said, well, have you always been allergic to coconut? No, it started in my 20s or my teens or 10 years ago. Well, that's not a true allergy. And then again, I can't tell you how many times that people will go through the program and they're like, oh my God, I accidentally took a bite of the Prolon nut bar, which has, walnuts and pecans.
Yeah.
Before the program, they would immediately start feeling tingling in their throat, and it would be
Yeah.
almost like an anaphylactic emergency. And they're like, I felt a little tingle, but I was able to eat it. I cannot tell you how often that happens. So that's why Yeah, there's so many tests out there. You can do your
Right. I know.
DNA and allergy. And so over the years, I've just kind of tried to stick with, we don't want to just throw a bunch of money out. What are the tests that, really affect the deepest root cause? And for me, the heavy metal test is one of the most powerful. Getting those heavy metals tested. And I've never tested somebody with heavy metals and not seen them show up. And they're not supposed to be in our body at all.
I have a question. Good morning.
Yes.
How
Who
did
are you, Zoom
Kelly?
user?
I'm Kelly. This Kelly. This Kelly.
I don't believe you. No, you're. Go ahead, Kelly.
Question. So, how do you know when the heavy metals are not in your body no more?
So, Dr. Daniel Pompa, one of my main mentors, who wrote the book Beyond Fasting and taught me most of what I know about cellular healing, he says it takes years, not months, to get metals out of your body. So, first off, you're not going to just get them out of your body overnight. They're neurotoxins. They're extremely dangerous. There's a reason that dentists get amalgam filling material, which, by the way, is 50% mercury. It comes in a skull and crossbone labeled container. And they have to handle it with gloves, with masks. And then they put that material into our children's mouths or our mouths as adults. Huh. And then when they go to remove the mercury and they drill at it and it smokes and it outgasses, same thing. They can't touch it with their hands. They have to be gloved and masked. And they have to have a very specific way of disposing of that toxin. It's a hazardous material. It's a neurotoxin. And they can't just put it in the trash or let it go down the regular drain. They have to catch all those metals and they have to dispose of it like it is what it is, a hazardous material. So how do you know when they're gone? First of all, they'll never be gone completely because no matter what you do to get them out, you're constantly being subjected to more metals because it's in our environment. It's in our food. It's in the air that we breathe. We used to have leaded gas. Yeah, it's everywhere. It's in our personal care products. So
Okay.
we breathe it in. So what I do though is we do my science-based nutrition, which is one of my 12 core concepts, prevention. And it's on the website. It goes into detail what that looks like. And for most people, these are the only tests that I really run because they give me the most information to be able to move forward and make a change without having to do a bunch of hormone testing and allergy testing. So we look at blood, hair, and urine, but very differently. I still get my blood done at LabCorp, but it's not just a lipid panel and a CBC. Most medical doctors are sending you to LabCorp or Quest, and they're looking at, you've seen your labs when they come back. It's what, about 20 or 30 elements that they're testing. So I have a foundational panel that I run, and it's 60 to 70, sometimes 90, depending on the person, elements that we run. So it's a very comprehensive, full foundational blood panel, not just a small little blood panel to look for disease, but a large blood panel to look for inflammation, cellular health. The two main things that we're looking for is nutritional deficiencies that show up on blood if you run the right bloods and you look at the right patterns. And the second thing that shows up on the blood work is organ dysfunction. So I've had people come in that everything in their testing told me that they were most likely going to end up with breast cancer because we also look at cancer tumor markers in the blood at least once a month. And I've sat down with them. I'm like, look, this is what's showing up. We need to completely clean up your diet. We need to get the sugars and the carbs and the processed food out. And you know what? A lot of people just don't do it. And so I had a really good friend that was one of my caregivers that took care of my grandmother. I did all the testing on her for free because she was working for me and she was a part of the family. And all these things showed up, and I told her that, it would be a really good idea to make some changes. She never made any of those changes. And sure enough, not proud of this at all, but a couple of years later, she ended up with a breast cancer diagnosis.
Hmm.
She fought it for a long time. It was about 3 years ago that she finally passed away. And the original time that I did all the testing was 2010, 2010. And she went through all of the stuff, the chemo, the radiation, and she ended up passing away. I think it was around 2022,
Okay,
which is
personal.
longer than most, but
So continue to use the fertility. Like, how does that? I know you said about the metals and everything, but when you continue to use the fertility, what benefits are we getting from using?
so Vitality is a zeolite, and there's lots of zeolites on the market. I'll get to you in just a minute, Marty. So the Vitality is a long-term heavy metal chelator that also binds to. So when you guys started the program with me, I sent you all kinds of videos and links and in-depth information about zeolite, about vitality release. So it's developed in such a way that you can take it every day safely. It doesn't pull minerals out of your body. It only goes after the bad things. It goes after heavy metals. Any toxin is primarily I can never remember. I think most toxins in the body have a positive charge, and that would include like microbes, like yeast, viruses, bacteria, parasites. The zeolite is like a cage, and it has a negative charge, and it's actually made from volcanic minerals, so it's naturally occurring on the planet. And this particular zeolite is mined from a very clean mine. Because you can imagine it's a zeolite, it's a chelator, it's a cage. You need to make sure that it's clean before you put it into a liquid form, because what does it do? It binds to toxins. So there's a lot of products out there, you don't know where they came from. You don't know if they're clean. They could already have a bunch of toxins in them. So Vitality Release is nanotechnology, and I sent a video, and if you want, I can put it in the chat for everybody. It's about a 45-minute podcast by
Yeah.
one of the developers of zeolite. And primarily it was his wife that he met about 10 years ago. He was in the zeolite field. He had been, he's a very, very smart person already. And then he met his wife, who's like way up there. She was working with pharmacology companies. She's considered like, what is it called? A savant, where you're like just at a whole nother level of intelligence. And so they met, and she saw what he was developing and what he was producing with all of his experience, because he had been in the field for many, many years. And she's like, that's amazing, but I can make it even better. So that's what her expertise is nanotechnology and creating an even more effective, clean chelator or cage. They've done studies. It's safe for babies. You can give it to your pets. Many zeolites are dirty and they have metals in them. And then many chelators, chemical chelators, will grab everything, like all of the good stuff. So a heavy metal like mercury is on the elemental chart, right? Remember the elemental chart in high school? Sodium, potassium, hydrogen, oxygen, selenium, zinc, mercury. Zinc is a metal too, but it's a healthy metal. It's a little tiny little metal that your body needs to be healthy. The thyroid loves zinc and selenium. Nickel, aluminum, mercury, bismuth, cadmium, arsenic, those are all on the elemental chart, but they're big metals and they're toxic. They're neurotoxins. So the Vitality Release is bare minimum. Yes, you should be taking it every single day, first thing in the morning. I actually take it midday as well, and then before you go to sleep, because that will at least keep the toxins from accumulating in your body. You can at least hold them at bay. And if you do some deeper detox work and you're able to get, and we would redo that urine test. So we would see what the levels are and we would take you through it. It's typically at least 6 months of a protocol that starts to remove safely and prepare your body for real, true detox. And then after about 6 months, we're going to retest that urine test again. And we always see the people that have taken through the program, we always see those metals come down. But primarily, like we talked about doing, allergy testing. But most of the feedback is really how you're feeling. Again, we started off this conversation and we've got 4 minutes. So I want to make sure I open it up for more questions. We started off this conversation with, no, I lost my train of thought.
With healthy foods.
Yeah,
Pure
eating
food.
healthy foods. Yeah. I don't remember where I was going with that. If anybody knows what I was saying, sorry. Anyway, this is just a good way to keep it at bay. And then we can go deeper if we need to with different protocols. And then I always retest the urine to see the metals come down. Oh, that's what I started the conversation with. My goal as I take this journey with you is I want you to learn your body. I want Angela to learn Angela's body, Marty to learn Marty's body. We're all different. We need to be cognizant and aware and listen to our body. So a lot of the detox is, how are you feeling? Do you have more energy? Is your joint pain better? Connecting with your body and really paying attention. Do you have less anxiety? So as you go through the detox, are you feeling changes? I felt major shifts in brain fog when I started this product. It's been over 3 years now. I was standing at this very desk and I had taken other zeolites in the past. Okay. And I had been on this product for about a week. And I was standing here at the desk and I just felt like this heaviness lift out of my brain. My thoughts just seemed like airy and clear. And it's like I just had laser sharp focus. I just felt this cloud in my brain lift. And it was palpable. Like I felt the shift in my brain. And it was like, whoa. It's like I could just focus on things and not get distracted. So this is very, very powerful. You can go to the Vitality website. There's case studies on that website. I can send you the podcast where the co-founder of the product goes into detail how it works in the body, why it's different than other zeolites. I've had patients, good friends, and I'll go over to their house and they've gone through my program and then I'll see some zeolite on their counter. I'm like, hey, what's that? Oh yeah, I found they started on the Vitality in my clinic. Oh, I found that as, it was a little cheaper, so I'm taking that. Well, it's not the same. So many different companies out there and different brands. And so I spend a lot of time, as you guys probably already know, vetting what I use and what I recommend. I vet it for myself first. I am an intense researcher. That's my gift is definitely doing the research, diving in, interpreting what that means in a day-to-day life, and then bringing it hopefully to all of you in a way that you can understand and that you can use so you don't have to spend, I literally spend at least a couple hours a day researching every day because I love it. It's just so natural for me. I read studies, I listen to the scientists. I am that science geek nerd. I'm just constantly seeking out the truth, seeking out more information, and I don't ever take it from one person. I'll hear what one person says, one doctor, one scientist, one researcher, and then if you start seeing a pattern, through 10, 15, 20 people, and they're all saying the same thing, and then you see the studies, okay, now I'm going to teach that. But I don't just listen to one person and start teaching that, if that makes any sense. All right, we're out of time. I'll allow 3 people to ask questions before we end the tribe call today.
I have a question. I have a comment. You are speaking about paying attention to your body, what you eat.
Yeah.
So I'm finding that I'm having a hard time chewing beef. The beef is hard for
Having a
me to
hard time
digest.
chewing beef?
Yeah.
What do you mean by having a hard time
It's
chewing?
it's like it's hard to digest for me to chew it
That's
up
because
like
you
it should
need
be.
that's a sign that you need digestive support. So when you start noticing that you have trouble with beef, it's because your stomach is low in normal occurring acid. And I have been using a stomach supplement with hydrochloric acid and pepsin after every meal. I would say probably going on 20 years now. Most people are very low in normal stomach juice because of stress, because of nutritional deficiencies, primarily Bs and minerals. Again, they keep coming up over and over again, right? Vitamin Bs and minerals. You can't break the beef down, the red meat down, if you don't have good digestive systems working in your stomach. So that's just that's one of the questions when we take a deep dive and we do some of these in-depth testing with my science-based nutrition. One of the questions, it's like a 200 question intake form. Do you have trouble digesting red meat? And that's a sure sign that your body is not producing enough hydrochloric acid and pepsin, which a normal, healthy, functioning stomach would produce plenty of it. So it's not breaking it down. So it just feels like it's just sitting there and you're not digesting it well. Does that
So
help?
what do I need to do?
You
What
need to take
to,
betaine plus. So next time you come into the clinic, or you can give Andrea a call or schedule a call with me, we have a wellness protocol of products, and I'm not about pushing products. If we were living in a perfect world with no toxins and living off the land, we wouldn't need any of these stupid products. But over the years, like I personally used to take like 20 or 30 different supplements for years. And now I take like 5 because I want to simplify it and I don't want to just inundate the body with a bunch of junk. But there are
mm,
2 digestive support products. One is Betaine Plus. The other one is called Super Enzymes, and they basically support your digestion. We would start with both, and then a lot of times as your digestion gets better, we can go over to just the one. The one has some betaine hydrochloride in it, along with other digestive enzymes, but most people in the beginning need higher quantities of the betaine hydrochloride and pepsin separately with the super enzymes. So when you came
okay.
in last time, we recommended the Beam minerals, and you said you were gonna order those. That's one of my
Yeah,
products on my wellness
yeah.
shelf. So I have all of my wellness products. When you look at my Nature's Pharmacy in my clinic, the very middle is are my wellness products. You've got the Beam minerals, vitamin D as in dog, liquid vitamin B as in boy, the 2 digestive products, just a small little core of what most people should be taking every day for the rest of their life, because across the board, people have issues with vitamin D deficiency, vitamin B as in boy, mineral deficiency, and then digestion is huge. People aren't digesting their food. That's why we switched over to all liquid nutraceuticals with my 3-month program. It used to be supplements. People don't break their food down well because of stress, because of diet, because of nutritional deficiencies. Does that help?
Yes,
Awesome.
yes.
Okay, one more. I
Thank
have
you.
a patient in the clinic at 10:30. Any more questions? So I did record this. I will put it in the Body Site app, and I will also email it out to everybody. And then we also wanted to take a look at the Vitality podcast.
Yeah.
And then reorder some
Reorder some.
Vitality drops. I can't remember
Yeah,
how to do it.
you can just probably send a message into Andrea through the app.
Okay, I will. Okay.
Good
Vitality
morning.
podcast.
Good morning, real
Uh,
quick.
This is
Yeah.
Liz Plain Tribe. I like if the information on the olive oil. The URL code it didn't go through.
So open it up on your computer. If it
Oh,
didn't go through on your phone, it's because you need to be on your computer because it's opening up for most people. It
okay,
opens up for me. So it is the correct URL, but you might have some type of security thing on your phone.
okay,
Yeah.
all right. And
If
then also, what about the vibration plate exercise?
See, Lou keeps me honest. She reminds me of everything I said I would do. The vibration platform that I recommend from Amazon, Vitality Podcast. What else?
And I know I'm thinking maybe around later in the summer, I still the carnivore.
Yeah, we have a 30-day
30
program,
days.
7 days of prep, just kind of teaches you how to get started and teaches you, the ideas behind carnivore. So 7 days of kind of prep work. It's all delivered day by day through the app. And then 30 full days of sample recipes and basically just taking you through and supporting you through a 30-day carnivore challenge, elimination diet, anti-inflammatory diet. Yeah. All right. I got everything down. I'll make sure I send out the Vitality podcast so you guys can learn more about it. The vibration plate. I'll see if I can maybe just, if I have time, Lou. It's just hard with so many people and having to do a bunch of separate things. But I do believe if you open up the app on your computer that you'll be able to get that link in. So let me know. And if not, I can always either myself or Andrea can email it to you separately.
Okay, sounds
Okay.
great.
Awesome. All right, all you beautiful souls. Give yourself a pat on the back because you showed up, right? 80% of our success is just that we showed up today. And the other 20% is just what you do for the rest of the day, right? So be good to yourself, love yourself. Get outside and get your feet on the grass or the sand. Get some grounding in today. All right.